Is this $1,000 podcast setup from Rode the best bang for your buck option in 2024? Let's find out. Let's go through the main parts of the setup. So we're starting off with the Rodecaster Duo. This is their two-person setup. Now, Rodecaster has been a staple of our studio here and for many other people. You can't get into podcasting without knowing at least about the Rodecaster. And within the last year or two, they came out with just a two-person option and a single-person option. But if you think that you're just gonna have a podcast with you and one other guest, you really don't need to get the 4-mic input, and you can just go with Rode Duo. So that's what we're gonna do today. The second piece of gear is these Rode Pod mics. Now, we've had about a dozen pod mics throughout the studio over the years, and we absolutely love them. They look cool, they sound great, and we're really stoked to have them part of this setup. And to connect these microphones, we're using Rode's XLR6 20-foot XLR cables. And what's gonna go hold those mics is Rode's new DS2 tabletop mic stand. Now, we're really excited about these. We've been using another company in the past, and it has some problems. So we're really looking forward to this. Let's get it set up. And now we are in our new studio space here at Chicago Podcast Studio, Studio 4. And this is actually gonna be a perfect place because one, you guys haven't really seen it. And two, we designed this to pretty much just work for two people. So it's gonna work great with our Rodecaster setup. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, and after just a couple of minutes, we were able to set everything up. Colton has familiarized himself with some of the more fun effects on this, and we will, from this point on, transition over to the audio from the Rodecaster as well as our video feed from Riverside. So here we go. Now, some of you guys may be wondering how we are going to include video for this $1,000 budget, and luckily we have a great plug, and it is today's sponsor, Riverside. Riverside just introduced their new mobile video recording service, and so no longer do you need to use your onboard webcam with your computer or an external DSLR or camera of similar sorts. So for many of you, you guys have a smartphone, and this will be a great way to get a higher quality video than you would be able getting out of the rear-facing webcam on your laptop. So to take advantage of this, all you have to do is log into your Riverside account here, go into your studio, and then you'll see in this drop-down, instead of using our HD FaceTime camera, we'll be able to see Connect Mobile Cam. And so we will do that. It'll present a QR code, and with our camera on our phone, we're gonna scan this QR code, and you'll see it is starting to connect with your camera. And so you can see here we're using our camera as our main camera. Now, as of April 9th, this feature is going live to Riverside people. This is a very exciting thing because no longer do you have to record in 720 or 1080. You're able to take the 4K feed from your phone, iPhone, whatever it is, modern phone, chances are it can do 4K, and it'll come out crystal clear. And then on top of that, once you're actually in the Riverside ecosystem, you get to use a lot of their full suite of other services that they have, including all of the Magic stuff. So Magic Audio, which would take a recording that would originally sound like this, and then let me just record a quick selfie here. And then this is what that would sound like on my cell phone, and this is what it sounds like after with Magic Audio. And then their Magic Clips section, which is a great way to promote some social media clips from your episode. So you can record at length, and then Riverside will use AI to generate social media clips that it thinks will be effective for your social media. As you can tell, Riverside does a really great job of supporting podcasters, so if you haven't looked into them already, it's something you really need to do. So if you're interested in checking out Riverside, there's going to be a link below with my referral code, and if you put that in, you'll actually get a discount at checkout, so be sure to check out Riverside, and thank you, Riverside, for sponsoring this video. Okay, and now we are on board my iPhone 13 using Riverside to facilitate the video, and the Rodecaster plugged into Riverside to record. And so one of the things that right off the bat I'm really enjoying about this setup so far is these new stands. I haven't seen another company do a design like this, and before we were using these, and one thing you might be able to tell is that the minimum height of this is almost too high, and since this is kind of like a high top table, we were finding that shorter people would have difficulty kind of seeing over the microphone. Sometimes we'd have to turn it down, and as you can tell, these just have such better flexibility to get all different types of positions, which is really great. And again, it feels like super planned. I feel like all of the stands that we have feel kind of wonky. These feel really solid quality. They look great. So I'm really stoked about these, and we're going to be adding these to this space. But I know Colton's been playing around with some of the other onboard effects that we weren't familiar with on our old Rodecaster setup. So tell us a little bit about what's going on here.
Yeah, so, there's the normal effects. We got some applause in here. Got the air horn.
Gotta have air horn.
Got the record scratch in there. They've added some voice effects that we don't even have on our Rodecaster. For starters, we got the voice disguise one.
I heard 6 people back in 96.
Really cool. We got the megaphone effect.
You guys need to check out Rode and Riverside.
And then they even have a pitch up effect.
What's going on, guys? It's Little Tom here.
And with these effects, you can also customize them and add pitch downs, pitch ups, and you can play around with it and add your own custom voice filters as well.
I've just been really enjoying it, man. It's nice to see. I don't want to say cute, but it's in a compact form. I like it, and especially if you're only interested in doing a 2-person setup like we have here. I mean, this setup, I don't feel like you can go wrong with it. Yep. The onboard preamps on Rode are stellar, coupled up with these pod mics, and this is really the biggest bang for the buck you're going to be getting as far as I'm concerned. And for the guys that would like to know a little bit more of the details and specific specs of this unit, let's dive into it. So first and foremost, the Rodecaster has ultra low noise, high gain Revolution preamps. Now this is a huge upgrade from the first generation, and it has 76 dB of additional gain. It has 2 high quality XLR inputs, a 3.5mm headphone jack out, as well as 2 TRRS outputs. It also has 2 1/4-inch headphone outputs in the back. It has a 5.5-inch touch screen display, dual USB-C connections to head over to a computer. Also has the ability to multi-track the recording. This would allow you to go back and individually adjust the mic inputs as well as any of the Bluetooth or USB inputs going into the session. Now, one of the really cool new additions with the Rodecaster series is the ability to plug in a wireless Go. Now, we use these at our studio all the time, and especially for on-site stuff, and we've played around with offering it for our podcast recordings as well. And so finally, we have the ability to sync up one of these Rodecaster wireless Go's directly into the unit here. And there we go. Now we have the Rode Wireless Go synced up with our Rodecaster, and that is a really, really cool feature. Another really cool thing that we wish that we had on the first gen of the Rodecaster is the ability to pause the recording. I can't tell you how many times we are mid-podcast and the guest is like, hey, I need to use the bathroom, I need to go do something, or hey, can you just give us a minute? Instead of hitting stop and having to go back and re-edit in another clip, we can just hit pause on the Rodecaster itself, and that will pick up the session right where it left off, leaving us with just a single file opposed to multiple. So to answer the question, is this the best $1,000 setup that you can get right now to get into podcasting? And I think the answer is pretty self-evident. Yes, I think the Rodecaster Duo, especially if you just need 2 people, is the go-to option for mixers. And Rodecaster pod mics are tried and true, have been in the industry a very long time, and they've sold hundreds of thousands of units of these. Coupled with their new DS2 stand, I think that this combination right here is the best money can buy. So I want to thank Rode for sending this unit out so we could play around with it today. And Rode was actually kind enough to send out a second set of this stuff to be given away to our group, The Studio Business. And if you're interested in starting your own studio or currently have a studio or interested in growing it, I highly encourage you to check out our community, The Studio Business. It is a great place and resource for people like yourselves that are getting into this industry, or people that have been in it for a while. We just launched it 2 weeks ago, and we already have a really healthy member base from people all over the world. We're really excited about growing that in the future. So I highly encourage you to check it out if you haven't already. It's The Studio Business. And with that, we'll wrap this up, and we'll see you guys on the next video.